Are you ready for your journey of discovery into spirituality? I'm not going to tell you that this is a course where there's a test you need to pass so that you can get a certificate at the end. Yes, I will suggest exercises and explorations, but it's entirely up to you to decide what you want to do with my suggestions. In this module, we'll discuss what the spiritual path is. Why are you being drawn to this path? What does it mean for you? Is it a bad thing to turn your back on your religion? Will you now be dealing with the devil? You probably are exploring this path because you already feel out of place and not sure where to go next or how to deal with this. I'll help you deal with your fears and concerns and explain to you what will happen if you choose not to continue but rather return to your religion, which is okay if that's what you want. Here's a question. Before we start, think about spirituality. What does spirituality mean to you? What are your expectations? What do you want to get out of this journey for yourself? For me, the definition of a spiritual path is simple. Listen to your heart and take ownership of your life. However, both are loaded statements. How and why should you listen to your heart? To put it bluntly, how can you listen to an organ that pumps blood and cannot talk? Did you know that there are brain cells in your heart? If you can allow the brain cells between your ears to make decisions for you, then why not allow the brain cells in your heart to do the same? And by the way, there are also over 100 million brain cells in your gut. Here's the difference. The brain cells in your gut don't apply any filters when they pick up vibrations from the environment around you. They simply alert you to a spike in the vibrations, and you then turn those alerts into a warning or excitement. The brain cells in your heart connect you to this world and what I like to refer to as eternal life. If you consider that our lives here are just part of a bigger picture, then imagine your heart connecting you directly to a dimension where there is no fear, no judgment, no guilt, no anger or any other emotions. And those brain cells make a decision based on a picture that is much bigger than you can even imagine. The brain cells in your mind are particularly good at processing information and adding every conceivable filter to the information. These filters include every possible bias, objection, obstacle, learned but unjustifiable fact, and alibi that you could possibly have accumulated in your life and inherited from your parents, your culture, and the media. These filters then twist the information into something that looks perfect to your jaundiced eyes. That's why I'm saying, follow your heart. As I said, the other requirement for spirituality is to take ownership of your life. Again, it sounds simple, but do it and you will see where the challenges are. When you take ownership of your life, there's no space whatsoever for blaming anyone else for any decision you make or how you react or respond to any experience you have. Suddenly, the buck stops with you. This applies to simple decisions such as, what does integrity mean to you? Do you give extra change back to the shop assistant when you receive too much? Or do you see the extra change as a blessing and conveniently forget that the shop assistant is accountable for losses in the till? Did you ever go back on a handshake agreement? Do you do the right thing even when nobody is watching? What is the best food to eat for you? Do you want to be vegan or eat red meat or be somewhere in the middle? Do you understand why you make this choice? Who do you associate with and why? What bias do you still have that requires some introspection? Do you say that people with a different race or religion or gender orientation are okay, but you draw the line for prostitutes and murderers? Do you know the difference between bias and discernment? These are the small issues where you can sometimes follow the herd and still feel comfortable about your choices. There are rules in society that guide you, and if you deviate slightly, it's okay. And you may be seen as a bit of a maverick. However, the buck stops with you, not with your church or your member of parliament or Congress or Senate or the police or anyone else that you would expect to give an answer on your behalf. When it comes to more far-reaching decisions, such as, when is it okay for a woman to have an abortion? Should a father have a say in the abortion decision? Should criminals get the death penalty? If you are a victim, how do you treat the perpetrator of the crime against you? What does forgiveness mean to you? To what extent do you tolerate your parents and siblings, children, friends, or others who mistreat you? When do you need to work at resolving the conflict, and when is it better to walk away? What do you do when you are at the receiving end of legislation that you regard as blatantly unfair or discriminatory? Do you follow the law, or do you do whatever you can to have the law changed? Are you willing to go to prison for what you believe? These lists could get awfully long. The point is that when you live a spiritual life, you will need to confront layer after layer of your own personality and actions, and align your actions with your beliefs, and your beliefs will change along the way. Here's a question for you. Which moral and personal issues are you battling with? What would you like to get clarity on?